With the help of this book's summary for How Successful People Think by John C. Maxwell, you'll learn how to alter your way of thinking in order to alter your life. Introduction. Why should I care? To succeed, develop your ability to think. The most prosperous people in the world all share one trait: they aren't scared to go outside the box and forge their own path. However, the trip down that path can be taken alone. After all, we are social creatures by nature. We enjoy fitting in, and conforming to conventional wisdom is the price of gaining social acceptance. You won't likely make many friends by going against the grain, challenging conventional wisdom, and making your own decisions. Consider where we could be today, though, if everyone had always kept their wonderful suggestions to themselves. Copernicus' assertion that the Earth wasn't the center of the cosmos must have seemed insane to his contemporaries. But he was correct, and we will always be grateful to him for standing his ground. That just goes to illustrate how crucial persistence and imaginative thinking are to success. However, John C. Maxwell demonstrates that brilliant ideas can come from anyone, regardless of intelligence level. In actuality, everyone can develop their creative thinking skills. All it takes is some practice and knowledge of the proper methods. In these summaries, you'll learn what Alfred Nobel did after reading his own obituary, why developing empathy can help you succeed, and what Paul McCartney and John Lennon can teach you about teamwork. Principle 1. Big picture thinkers have an aptitude for empathy and are always learning new things. Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric, frequently reminds his staff that ongoing customer connections matter more than specific sales. Why? Because he is aware that, in order to be successful in the long run, it is occasionally essential to put the small details aside and think about the bigger picture. But how can you begin to cultivate strategic thinking? By ensuring that you're constantly learning. Big picture thinkers are constantly looking for new ways to educate themselves. They are always traveling, exploring new locales, making new friends, and developing new talents. The author uses a helpful strategy to get himself in the correct frame of mind for that. He begins each day by reviewing his calendar and considering what learning opportunities are likely to arise. He mentally prepares himself to be on high alert once he has listed the activities that are most likely to teach him something. He is therefore much more likely to be open to what is happening around him. So, for instance, he was well prepared for a dinner date with National Football League, NFL, coach Dave Wannstedt. He used the opportunity to ask him a variety of questions about working as a team and left the restaurant full of fresh ideas. You can adopt the same practice by taking a moment each morning to review your schedule and consider the possibilities for learning that you will likely come across. It's crucial to make an effort to develop your ability to think broadly because doing so opens up a window into other people's perspectives. In other words, it increases your capacity for empathy. And that's beneficial for your relationships since it will make it easier for you to comprehend the needs and wants of those close to you, including your clients, spouse, kids, and friends. The ability to see the larger picture finally enables you to think beyond your own particular interests and consider those of others. Principle 2. Setting and achieving clear goals requires being practical and doing your homework. What is the truth? This isn't a philosophy lesson, so don't worry. In actuality, the answer is quite straightforward. Reality is the gap between your desires and the way things truly are. You must stop dreaming and begin thinking realistically if you want to achieve anything in the real world. That entails identifying goals and developing a strategy that will enable you to achieve them. Think about a businessman who doesn't think realistically. He is upbeat and optimistic about the company's future. He doesn't have a strategy, which is a problem despite his positive outlook. And his business is likely to fail without a plan. He's ultimately a poor leader. On the other hand, realistic thinking encourages excellent leadership. That's because accepting the way things are forces you to clearly define your goals and create a strategy for achieving them. Realistic thinking aids in further simplification. You become more effective by eliminating all the extraneous details and nebulous hopes and dreams. But what if you're naturally more of an optimist than a realist? Doing your homework is a good place to start. Understanding the facts is necessary for this. If you're a business executive considering your next course of action, consider what you'd do in the event that your revenue dried up, a client failed to pay you, or the market you're in experienced a downturn. Spend some time learning more about these possibilities because, if you don't, your realistic thinking won't be very useful. When conducting this type of background research, it's crucial to keep all preconceptions, prejudices, and second-hand opinions at bay. Instead of assuming, learn the facts for yourself. It's likely that you're not the only person in this situation. It's not necessary for your thinking to be original, it just needs to be sound. Looking at what other people have done in comparable situations can teach you a lot. The author claims that other people did some of his best thinking for him. Embracing creative thinking will broaden your options and improve your attractiveness. Regardless of your profession, creativity is absolute professional gold. Imagination is more important than knowledge, said Albert Einstein once. He was accurate. Your ideas matter much more than your position within the organization or your job title. Nevertheless, Einstein was a genius. For him, coming up with new ideas came naturally. There are methods you can employ to spark your creativity, even though they might not be applicable to everyone. The first thing to keep in mind is that creativity doesn't just entail coming up with a ton of original concepts. You can start thinking creatively by simply weighing more options. One characteristic of creatives is that they consider as many options as they can, which inspires creativity and awakens the imagination. Therefore, if you have a great idea, consider how you might improve it. Consider it like a fishing net. The wider you cast it, the greater the likelihood of catching fish. This is significant because the best thinkers seek the best solution among multiple options rather than the one and only solution. The extra benefit? It will assist you in creating a fallback strategy in case your preferred solution fails. Additionally, being creative makes you and your ideas more appealing to others. No surprise. Your intelligence has fun when you're creative. It is impossible to resist the allure of fun and intelligence together. One person who enjoyed using his sharp mind was Leonardo da Vinci. He was the epitome of the Renaissance man, with his ideas and interests being so diverse. He was a painter, an architect, a musician, and an engineer. But that doesn't mean you have to spend your free time creating helicopter designs and the Mona Lisa. People will be drawn to you inexorably if you let your mind wander and explore your creativity in your area of expertise. Principle 4. By having a non-selfish mindset, you can contribute to the greater good. Developing new ways of thinking increases your chances of success, but unselfish thinking has the power to transform your outlook on life. By taking that on, you might just redefine success itself. That is because helping others is extremely rewarding. In actuality, very few things are even remotely as fulfilling. You can pretty much count on getting a good night's sleep if you spend the day selflessly serving others. Consider Alfred Nobel's experience, who discovered that the hard way. He was shocked to read his own obituary in the newspaper as he was reading it one day. Even though it was a mistake, the experience was instructive. What did it say, then? The paper primarily discussed how the most well-known invention of the inventor, dynamite, had caused so many fatalities. The idea that this would be how people would view Nobel's legacy appalled him. Because of his guilt, he made the decision to promote peace in order to have a more positive impact on the world. In 1895, the notion of the Nobel Prize, which honors notable accomplishments in a variety of fields, was first conceived. It just goes to show that you can always change your ways, even if you've lived a selfish life. The ability to join something much bigger than yourself is the best part of unselfish thinking, though. In the middle of the 1980s, the pharmaceutical company Merck & Company demonstrated that. The company made the decision that its goals went beyond simply generating ever-increasing profits. The company decided to give away the medication for free after discovering a treatment for river blindness, a condition that affects millions of people in developing countries. After all, those who most needed it had the lowest means of payment. People are more important than profits, which became the company's guiding principle. The takeaway from this is that joining something fantastic rather than trying to be fantastic yourself is always preferable. Key idea 5. Ignore popular opinion if you want the best results because it is frequently incorrect. It's simple to follow the crowd and uncritically accept other people's worldviews. That is true for new parents who follow the proverbial advice their parents gave them, just as it is for business leaders who follow company traditions. It can be dangerous to make decisions for oneself. If you veer too far from the group, it's unlikely that you'll gain many allies. It must be true if everyone believes it to be true, right? Okay, no. Consider the notion that the Earth served as the universe's center. Almost everyone believed you had to be crazy to challenge that notion. Then, in the 16th century, the astronomer Copernicus arrived and mathematically demonstrated that our solar system revolves around the sun. Conventional wisdom can also be extremely dangerous. Before Joseph Lister invented antiseptic practices in the 19th century, surgeons believed that washing medical equipment was pointless. Humans frequently look for safety in numbers, but history demonstrates that this is not the best method of knowing the truth. But how do you get out of the habit of assuming the best about people? Making it a habit to consider things for yourself before following others is a good place to start. You'll be well on your way to success once you start focusing on what is best rather than what is trending. Consider the weeks that followed the 9/11 terror attacks. There was a general belief that it wasn't safe to travel by plane or go to New York. The author had a different perspective. Cheap flights to the city, unprecedented levels of security, and low demand had driven down the cost of lodging and theater tickets. Actually, it was a great time to travel to a city. So, a month after the tragedy, he and his family boarded a flight to New York. They had a wonderful experience that they would have never been able to afford if they had fallen into the popular thinking trap instead. Key Concept 6. Collaborate with people of all types to improve your ability to think. How would you approach learning a new skill, if you needed to do so? Spend some time learning it on your own or request instruction from a knowledgeable person. It might be time to change your mind if you're inclined to choose the first option. You have a much better chance of understanding something if you learn from someone who has experience, whether you're learning a new recipe, perfecting your golf swing, or mastering a new piece of software. Innovation comes from collaboration because group thinking is always superior to individual thinking. It might seem a little counterintuitive at first. After all, brilliant thinkers are frequently portrayed as pensive soloists who are on their own. Innovative discoveries, however, hardly ever take place in a vacuum. They are, more often than not, the outcome of collaboration between individuals. Einstein frequently remarked that the work of other men laid the foundation for his accomplishments. Consider the accomplishments of creative teams such as musicians Paul McCartney and John Lennon or scientists Pierre and Marie Curie. The outcomes can be astounding when individuals combine their distinctive talents and ideas. However, you must develop the proper mindset before you begin collaborating with others. So what's the deal with that? According to Jeffrey J. Fox, the author of How to Become CEO, you need to be constantly on the lookout for good ideas, regardless of how likely or unlikely the source may be. To do that, one must set aside biases and pay attention to others. Your children or the cab driver may have the next big idea. The idea is that unless you're open to it, you'll never know. It is also critical to strive for a mindset of collaboration rather than competition. When your goal is to complete others' ideas rather than outdo them, cooperation occurs. Therefore, the next time you're in a meeting with colleagues, put more effort into achieving the team's objectives rather than concentrating on yourself. Final thoughts. The most important takeaway from these summaries is that attitude is everything when it comes to success. Positive thinking has numerous advantages, but those are just the most obvious ones. Learning to think cooperatively and selflessly is a necessary skill for living a happy, fulfilling life. Instead of just focusing on yourself, you should consider what you can do for and with others. To do that, you must embrace creativity and refrain from conforming to social norms. Once you begin doing that, your mind will be set up for achievement. If you want to change your life by thinking like successful people, click the link below to purchase the book.